What is empowered buyer? And then what is this empowered buyer funnel that you've been so expertly using for yourself?
An empowered buyer is someone who is excited to invest. It's pretty much the reverse of someone who's not ready. And everyone, for whatever reason, has had times in their lives where they're just not ready. And that's okay to be in that space. We're selling something that is transformational. And so I try to remind people, you're not selling product, you're not selling your service. What you're selling is an end result or a transformation that someone is going to receive at the end of this. And the more you can paint that picture for them, the better. So there's so many ways to do it too. You can do it in fun and creative ways. I always tell people it doesn't have to be boring.
Welcome back to another episode on the art of online business. And we have back on the podcast, Lindsay Burgess, who is a marketing coach and behavioral psychology coach. She serves coaches, consultants, and service providers and course creators by helping them attract empowered buyers. And I'm excited to listen to Lindsay today, as I know you are too, right, Jamie?
Yeah, absolutely. We already had a good session the other day.
We had a good session yesterday. And Lindsay, you're back to talk to us and explain to the listener an empowered buyer funnel, because as a content coach over the years, you've seen your clients pick up more clients more quickly and quicker and quicker and quicker, even though we're talking to a more sophisticated buyer, a more conscious buyer. In fact, the most sophisticated and conscious buyers yet in this online coaching service provider course creation industry, because of the boom that we had back in 2020. And now everybody is just kind of marketed out. They've seen it all, so to speak. They've been marketed to, over-marketed to. They have many, many options. And yet here you are growing folks' businesses quicker than ever with something called an empowered buyer funnel. Thanks for being here, Lindsay, and I can't wait to hear about it.
Thank you for having me. Part 2.
Part 2, right? Oh, that's right. So like you're listening right now, listener, and we already interviewed Lindsay in part 1. And so you can go down to below and click over to hear the first episode with Lindsay after you listen to this episode. So do you want to start off by quickly defining again, in case somebody didn't hear the previous episode, what is an empowered buyer? And then what is this empowered buyer funnel that you've been so expertly using for yourself and teaching?
Yes. So an empowered buyer, so I went over it briefly in the previous episode, but an empowered buyer is someone who is excited to invest. And it's pretty much the reverse of someone who's not ready. And everyone, for whatever reason, has had times in their lives where they're just not ready. And that's okay to be in that space. And what I've seen is a lot of people speak to in their content and in their copy, they're speaking to people who just simply are not ready, versus the people who are like, I'm already looking for solutions. I want to buy soon. I just need to make sure this is the right fit for me. Are we aligned? Like, do our values aligned? And can this person actually help me? Because at the end of the day, when you don't sell a product, a physical product, and you're selling a service, it's a little bit different. So because someone's not receiving something physically in the mail saying, oh, it's been shipped, I can see it, I can hold it, I can touch it. We're selling something that is transformational. And so I try to remind people, you're not selling a product, you're not selling your service. What you're selling is a result, an end result, or a transformation that someone is going to receive at the end of this. And the more you can paint that picture for them, the better. So the characteristics of that empowered buyer is that individual who is very confident in their decisions, as in, I know that when I purchase something, I stand behind that, versus the buyer's remorse, the person who's committed and responsible for their own success. Because we know that you can give someone any information and it doesn't mean that they'll actually take it and implement it. So this person is an action taker who's like, let's go. I'm ready to take this next step. This is also someone who has the finances saved for this and is ready to purchase. So the content that they usually scroll past is the content that asks, certain questions that, or usually problem aware content, because they're like, oh, I already know I have a problem. And they kind of move past that type of content. And so we've been taught sort of with this, it's popular in the marketing world. And so a lot of marketers are like, what? We need problem aware content. I'm like, okay, it does depend on which buyer that you're trying to speak to. So I'm not saying that there isn't a place for that, but if you're trying to speak to that empowered buyer, you have to move beyond the problem awareness content. You sort of have to shift into those, the belief shifting content, the content that's going to leave a powerful impact, the content that makes them like, oh, okay, I I need to keep watching this person further because I might need to take that next step with them. So there's so many ways to do it too. You can do it in fun and creative ways. I always tell people it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be boring.
To be boring. When you say empowered buyer funnel, then are you speaking to buyers that are at a specific stage of awareness then, or can it be multiple different stages of awareness?
Yeah, so the EB funnel, which I call EB funnel, but the empowered buyer funnel is focused on empowered buyers. So these are people who have done their research, have been actively searching for solutions, know they have a problem. So you're speaking to that individual, not the one who's like, oh, I don't even know I have a problem. Well, now you're creating content that convinces and persuades them that they have a problem. So that's taking steps back. And that's the thing that I've noticed with the traditional marketing funnel. And that's probably why it took a lot longer for me to sort of see those results. I noticed some clients had been watching me for a year and took action when I was sort of following that, awareness and nurture and, convert, or, that sort of traditional sense of the funnel. So, they talk about how you have to be aware that they have a problem. You have to sort of, show them their problem. You focus more on the pain, their problems, what they're struggling with. Using that word struggling is a prime example. I used to use that a lot. And I got on a sales call once with a woman, and she was like not ready to take that next step. And I was like, oh, what is it exactly? Why, I did all the same objection things that these high ticket sales coaches tell you to say. And I did all of that. And she's like, you asked in your content, are you struggling? Like, I am struggling. I was like, I said, noted. Thank you so much for that gem. I will take that right out. And I started observing and looking over my content and what I was really saying and being more intentional about tapping back into the copywriter side of Lindsay, like the old me. So that's what really helped me to make that shift in my messaging to speak to the people who are like, they already know they have a problem. They don't want to highlight pain and problems. They want to focus on solution. This is solution-centered content now that attracts them.
So the top of your funnel, you're kind of just skipping all the other people, the pain awareness or pain point.
Talking to the solution
aware people.
Yeah, the people who are like, I want a solution. Let's go. Those are the people who buy quicker because they're already at that point where it's like, I need solutions. So I would never want someone to just scroll past my content because I'm more focused on a buyer who's not ready. And you know what's funny about that? The window shoppers, the lurkers, the people who are quiet on your page, don't underestimate these people. I always tell people that sometimes the silent people who are just kind of watching, not taking action, they might take action later. Since they see that you're already working with these people, they're like, well, I want to be that person. I want to get ready. And I see enough problemware content to where maybe I've done my research enough. I think I'm ready to take that next step too. It might take them longer, but I don't rule anyone out. I just focus on the people who are ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I like this shift.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what that looks like? Because I know the listeners like, okay, but we're making Instagram reels, or maybe content for TikTok. Like, can you, or maybe you could look at us, or a client that you're currently working with, but what does that shift look like in content, in video content? What was pain aware, or speaking to somebody who's at the pain aware stage, problem aware stage, and who is now speaking to somebody who's at the solution aware stage?
So what I do is when I think about the traditional funnel, I still took notes off of it. I've used it for most of my career. So when I made the shift a couple of years back to start using this new funnel, I said, I need to make sure that this actually works and I need proof of concept. So does it work for multiple people outside of just myself? And it does. So what I did was I said, okay, this new funnel that we're focused on can still build awareness, can still build trust, and can still build authority at the same time, all three of them, and still lead to conversions. So I started focusing more on how can I make that shift so that the content does these things, because trust and authority are not the same. As I always tell people, they merge them together. But as we sit here and create content, it's more intentional with two main things. And these are the things that most people as leaders, you'll see even high profile individuals, they have these two characteristics. So you focus on highlighting your core values. That's number one. This is something that attracts people who are aligned to you specifically and your beliefs. This is what helps you to stand out also in your space and not sound like everyone else. So in your content, you should be sprinkling in your core values. If people don't know, what do you believe? What do you not believe? What do you stand against? Like, if you don't really state where you are, you'll attract people who say, oh, I don't believe that, and now we're not aligned. So you do want to repel people through your content, and you also want to attract people. So it's a give and take. So when people say, oh, I lost followers, I'm like, well, celebrate. That's great. Like, they need to go where they feel they should be. Like, losing followers is the best thing that could ever happen to you, because the person does not feel aligned and they were willing to move forward. So we start with the core values, and then the second thing is your extraordinary approach. This is what makes you unique. And in the marketing world, we call it your unique value proposition, but it's really what makes you stand out. What makes your framework or your method different from everyone else's? For me, it's the empowered buyer. For you, it's something else. So once you find that unique thing, how can you highlight that in your content and break that down in small snippets, whether it's a reel or a carousel or an image, or you're on TikTok doing it? How does your method or your way stand out from everyone else's in your market? And that's what I really help my clients to do. But this is something you can do as well. So it's like, I will ask them questions about, well, who are you as an individual? What services do you offer? What makes your services different from someone else? For example, I'll give you an example from a real client, Terry Michaels. He is a vocal coach, and he literally said to me, okay, what questions do you have for me? Like, I don't know, you've asked me a lot of questions. Is there anything else? And I said, I have one last question for you, which is, what makes you different from every other vocal coach out here? And he said to me, well, after the first lesson, people already noticed an improvement in their voice. I said, okay, we're going to highlight that in your messaging, in your copy, in your content. You see what I'm saying? So it's like taking that unique selling proposition, or that extraordinary thing that makes you different, is what will help you to stand out faster, and is what will make people say, okay, that's the person for me, because they're not doing what everyone else in this industry is doing. I need that leader, like the best person in that space. And you don't have to say I'm the best choice. No, we don't convince or persuade anyone, and there's so many choices. Everyone's the best, right? But when you say something that helps you to stand out and makes you unique, and it's true, remember, never exaggerate. I always tell people, don't make anything up. Like, if you're really true to this, you've got to make sure it's honest and it's genuine, and that you can give people results. So if you've delivered these results for multiple different clients of yours, you have the right to say, I can do this. So that's sort of what we focus on in our content, is how can we highlight more of your core values and your personality? So infusing your tone, your style, delivery, and your mission, your vision. Like, what are the type of clients you don't want to attract? What are the ones you do want to attract? That should all be sprinkled in there. Like, my onboarding process is pinned to the top of my content. There's another one that promotes my free 20-minute masterclass. That reel still converts to this day, since it was posted back in May, pinned to the top of my content. I have another one pinned that has a bunch of clients and their results and how long it took them, pinned to the top of my post. This is optimizing my Instagram page so that people can land on my page and be like, okay, she might have a point to what she's saying. Let me go through her reviews and her highlights. Let me maybe check out what she's doing. I can't tell you how many people have said, I looked through your reviews and I joined one live of yours and I think I'm sold on it. Like, that shocked me. But at the same time, it didn't, because I'm like, I do this for my clients too. And it's all about setting something up for that person. Everything's really your funnel. If you think about it, your content is just that touch point to get them to the email list, to get them to your lead magnet, to opt into that. You see? So it's all just little touch points, and you can do that in so many different ways. There are so many people out here, and people get overwhelmed because they say it's saturated. That's a good thing that there are a lot of people in the industry doing something similar to you, because these are other industry leaders showing you that this is in high demand. And when there's something in high demand, you better believe you can make sales on here. And it doesn't have to take you 2 years, 3 years, or a whole year. That was the case before. But I would focus on just really building a personal brand and showing up as often as you can, but obviously without burnout, as sustainable as you can make it. And when you show up, like, really make sure that you're highlighting things that are important to you. Because if you want to attract a certain client, like professional, some people think professional means, oh, I have to be structured, I can't use slang. Well, do you want to attract that client who's a little more stuck up, or do you want to attract someone who's a vibe and who's chill and who you could do boomerangs with? I've done boomerangs with many of my clients, and it's fun, and we just have a vibe and we laugh and we have a good time and we go deep too. There's layers to that. So, keep in mind, who do I really want to attract? Like, what is that personality type? And make sure you infuse that into your content. That's what I'll leave them with.
Okay.
I like it.
Well, there we have it. Now I get it. All right. So,
I understand.
Where can somebody find you if they want to hear more about what you're saying, speaking to this empowered buyer rather than what we've all been taught to do, and speak to somebody who's just problem aware?
Yeah. So for those who want to stay in contact, my DMs are always open. So don't be a stranger. You can check me out at contentcoachlindsay.com. You don't even have to follow me. You can just lurk from a distance and see if the content resonates. But every week I'm putting things out, to help people. And that's my goal, is for you to make some money. I said, if my free content can help people to attract the empowered buyer, which it has, then I'm doing my role. I'm doing what I was put on this earth to do. I know God blessed me to do this. So if you want to check out the free 20-minute masterclass to get a snippet before you purchase anything, and you don't have to purchase anything, I think that's a great starter. Just logging onto the website, signing up for the free 20-minute masterclass. That'll give you the insight you need. So that's it.